Hey guys, HonestStorm23 here, and welcome to the first part of my brand new Let's Play, which is of Pokemon SoulSilver for the Nintendo DS. Now, I have to say, I apologise for the Sonic 06 video and that troll. I always wanted to do some sort of troll, kind of, gotcha to my subscribers, so yeah, so Sonic 06 will not be my new LP. There will not be any part 2 of that, because that game is terrible, so yes, instead I will be doing Pokemon SoulSilver, which is pretty cool, which is, the reason I'm doing SoulSilver, because I've already done the 3rd, 4th and 5th generation. So I thought the best way to do the 2nd generation would be to do the remakes. It just makes sense that the newer versions, they're pretty decent to play, and I can do Nintendo DS games, so this is the one I'm doing. I actually have Heart Gold, like that's the one I physically own, and I haven't actually beat that. So I haven't beat these remakes, but I beat the original, and on my Heart Gold I got to the Elite Four, but I just made some poor choices, so that's why I never beat the Elite Four. So yeah, Pokemon SoulSilver version. And I went for SoulSilver over Heart Gold because really there's not that many differences. There's like small minor differences, but there's nothing that big. I mean, which version you pick nowadays in Pokemon really does not matter. You can really pick whatever version you want. So yeah, so I would like to do the original versions, but of course it'd be silly to do them both. So yes, of course it's a Pokemon game. So we all start off with a professor, and this time we have the luxury of having Pokemon being introduced to us to Horrendous Eyebrows Oak, and he also doesn't have a nose. I don't know what's up with that. It's kind of a bit creepy. He did in the original have a nose, but I guess they took that feature out. So, yeah, and then he shows a Marill. In case anyone doesn't know, Marill is my favourite Pokemon. He's just so cool. Just look at it. Look how cool he is, and he's adorable, and he's a Water type. So yeah, Marill's my favourite Pokemon. So it's so cool that he shows a Marill. But just look at Professor Oak. Look how cool and casual he is then. You know, with his cool jacket, he's like, yeah, whatever, I'm a Pokemon professor, but I'm also a cool guy that you can just chat to about your feelings and all that. So I don't need to explain everything that's going on here. If you play Pokemon 4, you should know, just in case you haven't. You know, he just says, by the way, this world you live in, we keep and befriend weird mutant animals that can use the elements to destroy things and each other. So that's pretty much what he's explaining, and how this is a wonderful thing apparently, and everyone embraces it, and it's just delightful. So yeah, so here we go. So this is your room. It's pretty much the same as the original. Now I won't be going through every single change from this for this version that they changed from the original. Obviously there's some big changes, so obviously I'll talk about those, and you'll see those pretty soon. But I don't know every single small change that they've made. I don't know every single one because I had Pokemon Silver back in the day, but I haven't played it in years. So I do kind of know this version of the game a bit more than I would say the originals. Although I could probably go back, because I played the originals just so much as a kid, I could probably go back and know everything about it. When I played through Heart Gold, I definitely knew a lot about it, even though there's changes. So yeah, I also, something I just need to mention real quick. This is boring LP stuff. This is post-commentary like my other LPs, which means that it won't happen in this part, but in later parts I will be editing out certain battles and fast-forwarding stuff like my other 3 Pokemon LPs. So if you've seen those ones, you know how I edit my videos. If not, then yeah, expect some jump cuts and some fast forwarding and all that kind of stuff, but that won't be happening in this part because it's the first part. We're just having a good time. You know, there's not that much to cut out. You know, it's all just intro stuff. But we have a suspicious red-haired man staring through a window. Oh dear. Oh, well, I guess our mum was like, go see the professor, and of course that's what we got to do. We got to go talk to him because this is Professor Elm, and he's, you know, he's a professor. He's not as cool or stylish as Professor Oak. You know, he's just so cool and stylish, that guy. But you know, he's still pretty nice. So I'm not going to point out every single differences, but there's already been some differences. Obviously the graphics are the big difference, and it's a shame because this remake, it's not bad. It's far from bad, and it's far from like you know, you can still play it and have a really good time. A lot of people love these ones, and I can see why, but I mean, they could be better, and I'll get into that in a bit. But here we have the 3-star one. We have Chikorita, Totodile, and Cyndaquil, and Chikorita is just horrendous. Probably the worst starter out of all the starters you can get across all the games. I tried to use Chikorita on Heart Gold, and it's just awful. And then I normally go Water type, but this time I'm going Fire type and using Cyndaquil because Cyndaquil and Totodile are both really good choices. They're both really like easy to use. In the first gen, if you pick Charmander, you're at a disadvantage straight away, but not really in this game. You can do pretty well with Cyndaquil. But I'm picking Cyndaquil because there is I want a Marill, okay? When we can eventually catch a Marill, I will, so I'll be using that Pokemon, which is pretty nice. But so that's why I went for Cyndaquil, because there's not that many Fire types, and Fire types are really good, but there's never really that many in any generation. And for this one, it's no different. You won't be able to catch a Fire type for a good while. And so this is Lyra. I think that's how you say her name. And this character is completely new to this game. And I'll be brief. To sum up my feelings about this character, she is the worst thing about this game and any game ever of all time. She sums up everything that is wrong with the recent Pokemon games from about the fourth and 5th gen, maybe the 3rd gen as well. She's annoying, and she's just so annoying. You're going to see her pop up when she really doesn't need to. But yeah, so you have to actually go back to your mum to get your Pokegear, which is your phone, but it also does other stuff. It was one of the things introduced for the 2nd gen, so obviously it's going to be back for this one. And I like the phone system, it's pretty cool. I don't think I'll be using it, but I like the idea of it. So pretty much Lyra's here because the more recent generations, for some reason Game Freak feels like they have to force you to do things. Like, if I didn't go back to see my mum there, that woman there would have ran into me and said, hey, go see your mum, and wouldn't let you pass. And so Lyra tells you to go see your mum, and then she would have brought me back. And now as I'm trying to leave, Professor Elm is showing up and handing more stuff to me, and it's just the bad thing about it is that it's slow. Like, in the first 2 generations, arguably the 3rd as well, it was quick. If somebody stopped you and said you can't go that way, it was kind of annoying, but it was quick. The person was just like, hey, don't go that way, you should go over there. Boom, done. But in these generations, especially this 4th one, it's so slow. It's anyone who comes up to you and says, hey, what's up? It's so slow. It's like, it's just so intrusive, and it's so annoying not to be able to explore stuff. But it's the tutorial. We're still technically in the tutorial in the beginning of the game, so I won't complain. I can't complain about it too much here. But the older generations, whenever they did stop you, it wasn't as intrusive. And here we have a Pokemon battle. The quick basics. You each have HP, and it's like an RPG. Like, they're the party in RPG, and then you attack each other to lower each other's HP using different attacks, and there's tons of different attacks, and there's tons of different Pokemon. Pretty much, it's really not that hard. Which is why it's really confusing about the whole tutorial thing, about how recent games have had a much bigger tutorial. It's why it's confusing, because it's really not that hard. It's not a complicated game. Like, I LP'd Chrono Trigger before this, and there was no tutorial on that one, because even though it's an RPG, and it's arguably, there's more to it than Pokemon is, and there was no tutorial, and I got through just fine. But no, in this one there has to be a tutorial. And in case you're wondering why, well, first you're probably wondering why I called Cyndaquil York. No idea. I have no idea why York came to mind. That was just the name. It just popped into my head, the name York, and it's really weird. There's no particular reason. I don't know anyone called York. I'm not naming it after anyone. I don't know why I added in the E at the end of York, but yeah, that's Cyndaquil's name. Because I couldn't think of anything else. I was trying to think of some sort of fire kind of related thing, but all the ones I could think of were just lame and just Yeah, because there's so many standard names for Pokemon. Like, if you have an electric type, call it Sparky. And I didn't want to do that, so I was like, I couldn't think of anything cool related to fire, so York it is. Because I don't know what else, I'm going to give nicknames to all my Pokemon, but I don't have any ideas, A, which Pokemon I'm going to catch, and B, what I'm going to call them. Because when people LP a Pokemon, a lot of times they'll have their squad planned out, like, yeah, I'm going to have this one, and then I'm going to catch this one and evolve it, it's going to be awesome, it's going to be the best team, and everyone's going to be like, yeah, everyone on the internet's going to know I'm a Pokemon master, but I can't be bothered with that, I can't be bothered to plan out my team, so whatever I catch is what I catch. If whatever I see, I think that's pretty cool, I'll catch it, so that's pretty much what it's going to come down to. And I don't have any plans to, to name my Pokemon after, people I know, or anything specific, so whatever comes to mind, pretty much. I like to wing it in Pokemon. Because people like to be really tactical when it comes to Pokemon, but for the main game, you really don't need to be. You just need to be competent and just don't catch, don't pick Chikorita, pretty much. You just need to be competent with your choices and not be too horrendous, so that's why I don't plan out my squad. Because in competitive battling, sure, you have to, it's everything, but... So this is the main chunk of the tutorial, or this is part of the tutorial I kind of like. This old man shows you, oh, there's the Pokemon Center, there's the Mart, there's the sea, there's a route, there, blah, 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 there's his house. Don't need to see that, but... Yeah, I like that. I think it's a good way to show you everything without taking too long. But here's the confusing thing, right? He gives you the running shoes. This is when you get the running shoes so you can outrun. And in the 4th gen, something I really like is that on the bottom screen, you can tap it so you constantly run. And I think that's really cool. I don't know why they took it out of the 5th gen. It was kind of... Because I like to... When I play Pokemon, I like to play it one-handed. Or when I'm, playing it for hours, I play it one-handed because it's just so much easier than maybe just use my finger to touch the screen. But they took out the run button, so I had to play it two-handed, the 5th gen. But this one you don't, which is pretty cool. So yeah, but here's what's confusing. He gave you the running shoes, and he runs to catch you up after giving you his running shoes. Which pretty much implies that you're the only one that needs running shoes to be able to run. Which is really weird. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, maybe it's all kids need them to run? Maybe it's a kids thing, but I don't get why they can't give you the running shoes as default at this point. Nobody's going to be like, hold on, I didn't have to get the running shoes to run. This is terrible. No one would think like that. It's crazy. They should just give you the running shoes by default. I mean, I can't complain too much because they give you, this is the first part. It's only 12 minutes in and we already have them. It's only really a problem in Fire Red and Leaf Green when it takes forever to get those running shoes, ridiculous amount of time, so I can't complain, it's just an odd choice. Because even in Black and White 2 you have to get the running shoes to run, which is why? Why are you making me do this? And here in this game we have apricots, which, I mean, I can't be bothered to explain what they are. Something to do with berries and all that stuff. But I won't be doing those. I can't be bothered with berries and apricots and all that stuff. It's just a big hassle. It's a nice addition, but I can't be bothered personally with it. So in case you missed it, what we're doing here is actually going to see the Mr. Pokemon because he has a discovery. But here's the confusing thing. In the original, Professor Elm was like, I don't know what this guy's talking about, and spoiler, he has an egg, or mystery egg. But in this one, in the remake, because I guess the whole point is that everything, they have to add in new stuff in each generation, but that means that it didn't exist in the other regions in the older generations. But because this is 4th generation, they have to acknowledge the existence of Pokemon eggs, I guess? Maybe? I think that's what's going on here. So Professor Elm is like, oh, Pokemon egg, whatever. And then he still reacts in the same way, which we'll see later, but... Also, this Mr. Pokemon guy is a really weird character. He's just here. And I think you might see him again, but he's pretty much here to just give you the egg. And that's it. There's no other reason for him. I think he shows up later, but it's just an odd character. Especially because he's called Mr. Pokemon. If he was just some random guy or another professor or something like that, like Oak's here, why can Oak have the egg? Or why can Elm have the egg and give it to Oak or something like that? Of course it doesn't matter, of course, but still. But really, Professor Oak is actually in the game and has a radio show. I'll get into the radio later, and I mean, he does have a point here. He gives you the Pokedex, and you do see him later on, so you know, it's nice to see Professor Oak. He's a pretty cool guy. Because they had Professor Oak, because of course Professor Oak would go to the other regions to research Pokemon. But of course in the first gen they only established that one region, so now in this second region with all the new stuff, it's not really confusing. It's just they try and make it seem like Pokemon, I don't know, it's just odd. I kind of ought to keep explaining it. But yeah, that's about it for this part, so we're going to go get this apricot for some reason, and oh, a telephone call, wow. Oh dear, a disaster. Well, we'll be right there. So next time in Let's Play Pokemon SoulSilver, we will go see what Professor Elm wants and deliver this egg. So I've been Awesome23, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And if you want more Pokemon, go over to Edward the Guy's channel, where I am racing him in Pokemon MMO. So yeah, stay tuned for the next part, and I'll see you then.